bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate the world, peaches ripe.
Women built humanity. We did build humanity.
Great. Well, yeah, like I said, it sounds like we agree, Westy. So you have a great day.
All right, girl.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, I just want to know, I was reading how women built humanity. Can you explain that real quick?
Yeah, so have you heard the talking point that men have built society?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you agree that men built society, then you have to concede that women built society.
How? Why? Because they gave birth?
Yeah.
Well, that
And
doesn't matter.
essentially all the advancements of evolution. Yeah, those are specific.
So all of your achievements are just straight to your mother, and then her mother beforehand, and her mother beforehand? So everything that you do in your life is actually your mother's achievement and not yours. Is that true?
I don't know how you come to that conclusion, because if you're saying that men built society, then I could just go down the same logical sequence, if that's what you think a logical deduction is, that current men's achievements are the credit of previous men's achievements, are the credit of previous men's achievements.
But I don't, though. But I think that men have built the world through war, conquest. Like for the Roman Empire, let's say the biggest empire besides modern day, maybe the UK. Were there any women? I know kings weren't around, but the actual dictators, were there any women?
Within Roman dictatorship or within that time period?
Well, there was Cleopatra, but I mean, for let's say just Romans.
I don't know off the top of my head. I know Sparta was definitely a more egalitarian society, and women had rights to own property and were.
Well, I'm not saying that women should not own property. What I'm saying though is to say that women built humanity is unjust, and it's just not true, because were women in the battlefield? Were they fighting on the plains, like for my country, Canada?
It's not built humanity. If we look at it essentially from an evolutionary standpoint, if we look at like primates in general, primates can only have one offspring every 5 to 6 years. So essentially our capacity for pregnancy has made it very unique in how our species has been able to propagate and advance. So it's not like agriculture, hunting, or war that has advanced our species. It is menstruation. As well as like women's ability to recognize symbolism, time. I mean, women are responsible for essentially inventing the first calendar.
That's just not true.
Absolutely.
So if we want to talk about achievements, what are like big achievements that women have done?
Women are responsible for agriculture, for pottery. Like I said, when it came to...
Okay, let's give like a specific example. Like I can say Nikola Tesla developed AC currency. That's a specific example, not, men invented farming.
List, like female inventors.
Sorry?
You just want me to list female inventors?
Yeah, sure.
Why?
But now we're searching them up, so...
Why?
Why? Well, if they invented so much, you should be able to pick one off the top of your head. Like I can say Marie Curie revolutionized radioactive research, but besides that, I can't think of any.
Right. So Hedy Lamarr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What did she invent?
The research that she invented was for Wi-Fi, advanced research for the internet, Bluetooth.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then I also saw in your thing, not your bio, but the thing that's above your head, you say that men should submit to women, and you are pro the word worker. I don't know if that'll get me banned, but you're pro sex work?
So when I say pro-sex worker, anti-sex work industry, I think it's an important distinguishment to make in terms of like the delineation of SWERFs. Because when it comes to sex work, I'm not making a moral claim, I'm making a material condition claim. I think the advent of patriarchy as well as capitalism has created a system of labor to where women who don't have other skills or access to education in order to sell their labor in the marketplace are forced to sell their bodies. And therefore, because the material conditions are being exploited.
But so you're okay with something like OnlyFans where the woman is selling somewhat directly to the consumer?
OnlyFans would be a part of the sex work industry. We can see that pimps and predators actually have a huge presence on OnlyFans.
I would agree, yeah. But then how would you be, so then what is a sex work thing without the industry? How would that even happen?
It would essentially be the removal of capitalism.
So you're a communist?
Yeah, my name's Comrade.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I guess I didn't see that. You're a communist? Oh, God. Okay. So even from a moral standpoint, you don't have any disagreements with selling your own body?
No. Why would I?
Because
I would actually have more reprehensible for purchasing consent.
Yeah, but I also don't like that people pay for this stuff. So I'm making a claim that you shouldn't do it. I'm making a claim that you shouldn't do it at all to the
Well, then you should
the extent.
to stop purchasing consent.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that on that point, but I also think that women shouldn't sell because if there is no content to buy, people won't buy it. And I know there's always going to be that underground market, but if collectively we start banning these platforms like OnlyFans, other porn sites, I think that the drive will to ban it would make a very big difference to both men and women because it wouldn't have a platform to buy and also to sell.
The platform primarily is underground. Sure, there's legalized aspects of it, but just because you criminalize it, again, I don't think that's a sound idea because then women would still just be exploited in other ways. You really have to address the material conditions of society in order to actually address the exploitation behind it.
Okay, but if we don't make it, but porn is mainstream now. Like kids are getting on it younger and younger. There is a wide, millions of people watch it every single day. If we take away those platforms, it would be harder to access this stuff, which would be a good thing. I'm not saying that it'd disappear entirely, but it's a start. To say that we shouldn't ban it or do all this other stuff is just not, or seizing the means of production, going back to a revolutionary state is just not.
I don't know. If you want to put reform on it, fine. But again, it doesn't address the material conditions, which I would argue are the foundation. And I see
it's morally. Yeah.
I'm not. I see it says Canadian Catholic as your name.
Yeah.
Porn is huge within Christian communities. 50% of youth pastors claim to be addicted to porn as well. So I would argue that things that Christianity promotes, like purity culture and the rejection of your sexuality, also pushes people to this type of media.
Well, I think that everyone struggles with addictions or sin in this case, but to say that just because it's in the church and we promote it, it is a bad thing. It's when you say, for an example, I don't know how good of an example this is.
I don't really care about your moral argument. It doesn't mean much to me.
Okay, I'm not making a moral argument right now. What I'm saying is that we say drugs are bad all the time, yet people still do them. Even in the church, we say, don't do this, or even in the law, but people still do them. And then to say that, just because it's there doesn't mean we can't stop it. To use the argument, well, Catholics or Christians have used it or are using it, and it's not a purity spiral or whatever with whatever guards. It is a problem. It is
ideologies within Catholicism and Christianity that actually, I would say, leads people to turn to this type of media. So if you're going to address the media itself, I think you should also address the negative and harmful principles that religion promotes against sexuality.
Like what? To not have sex before marriage, and like if you're gay to repress it?
Yeah, purity culture, anti-LGBTQ.
Yeah, so.
Okay, that was my claim.
Okay. So just because people are not permitted to do something, then it leads it to do more of, like, because it's like a gate-kept thing?
No, because of how purity culture is constructed, it essentially leads to sexual repression as well as negative relationships and unhealthy relationships with your body and sex. And so when you don't have any outlet or are essentially kept in the dark when it comes to information and you seek that information, you turn to other forms of media.
Yeah, but those other forms of media are not good. Like so if you let's say you're a homosexual.
I agree.
Yeah.
You have to recognize the oppressive ideology that Catholicism and Christianity promotes. So that would also be a solution.
To ban Catholicism or ban Christianity?
To change essentially how you perpetuate the idea of sex. And I mean, purity culture is just horrible.
But
anyway.
no one's pure though. No one is pure. But like we have to strive, like even for if you don't want to use like a homosexual example or an example in that, and we take a like a normal heterosexual, I think it's what it's called, couple, they even have to repress themselves till marriage, so everyone is trying to strive for, like in God's message, you're supposed to strive towards that, try and be like Jesus. So no one is exempt from trying to make themselves better and follow the law. Like we have to repress ourselves in all sorts of ways. So, sorry?
I don't think having sex outside of marriage makes you a bad person. I actually think waiting until marriage promoting waiting till marriage to having sex is very dangerous.
Why? Also, the comments are saying I'm Ben Shapiro. I'm not. That's not who's in my profile.
Well, inflection and cadence sounds very similar.
What? Because I'm whatever. Anyways.
I don't know.
Sorry.
You do sound like you're speaking like Ben Shapiro. Like it's pretty.
I'm not. I actually don't like Ben Shapiro, like at all. For the record, I don't know if you care or not, but
I think it's like if we look at statistics in general, people who get married later in life have better outcomes when it comes to their marriage. They're less likely to get divorced. They're more likely to be fulfilled and happy within the marriage. So when
they have sex before marriage,
yeah.
That's actually statistically not true. There's more divorces when you have more than, I think, 4 partners beforehand, as well as if you don't wait until marriage, your divorce rates skyrocket. That's just not true.
No, you would need to prove causation, like that correlation equals causation, and there's no way that you could.
Yeah, but how can you say that having sex outside of marriage also strengthens that? It would be, you'd have to avoid 2 arguments.
It. I'm saying that when you get married when you're older, you tend to know who you are and you have more experience. So you make better choices.
Yeah, but that's not that's not my argument.
Yeah, if you say waiting till marriage, typically that's what incentivizes people to get married at a very young age because they actually do want to have sex.
Yeah.
So they get married at an age where they don't have experience and they are informed as well, are not informed as well.
Okay, but I mean, people getting married younger, we've been doing since, the dawn of time. I think to wait until you're 30, especially for women, it's just not a logical thing. Like men can have kids up to way later.
One second. What you just said is not logical. That is a logical fallacy.
Sorry, what?
What you just said is a logical fallacy.
Yeah, what did I say though? That's a logical fallacy.
Appeal to tradition fallacy. It's essentially an is-ought fallacy.
Okay, yeah.
But how it is, therefore it's how it ought to be. That's not a lot.
But even scientifically, like women's bodies are, it's a ticking down clock. The older,
okay, 1 second.
the older you get.
One second, Bella has something she wants to say to you.
I wanted to add that, like, that statistic about, like, the marriage and, like, the people that wait until marriage are, like, supposedly more likely to have a successful marriage.
Yeah.
For one, it's definitely not successful, because the only reason that we see that is because obviously Christian people are more likely to get married, and they're more likely to both save themselves from marriage and think that divorce is immoral. And so even if they're extremely unhappy in the marriage, they won't get divorced because it's against God. So that's just why we see that outcome. But that means, hold on, I'm still talking.
Okay.
That means absolutely nothing about the success of the marriage. They could be extremely unhappy, but still just not get divorced because God said no, basically.
Are you done? Yeah. Oh, she's muted. Okay. Well, so I was right. There's less divorces. Now, the cause of that you can argue, but, you know, on paper, there are less divorces. You know, they have more kids. They have longer marriages. So, I mean, if you want to debate why they don't get marriages, which you actually can in the church, you can.
The cause of that is just because they don't think divorce. Yeah, the church doesn't think divorce is right. Let's not lie to ourselves.
No, you can have an annulment.
The causation for that outcome is literally just because Christians don't believe in divorce.
Well, we don't believe divorce just because you're you just are unhappy. You need to have a reason, which is an annulment.
Being unhappy is a reason for divorce. What?
Wait, I'm curious, what are the justified reasons?
Well, so if you make your vows, if you don't stick to your vows, you don't provide for your family. Like if you marry someone that they said they were someone else. So like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm clean for 10 years. And then you marry him and then you find out that he's like a full blown alcoholic. You can get an annulment for that divorce. And that's perfectly sound in the church. There are reasons to, but just solely stating that, I don't like him anymore, that's the only void in.
That's absolutely a reason for divorce, is like losing interest in somebody or just being unhappy.
Not being incompatible.
So then why would you ever get married then?
Because marriage changes everything about a relationship. Like often people will say move in with each other after marriage. They'll learn a lot more about the person that they're married to. And then that changes a lot of things. Like they may lose interest for that person. And maybe if they waited until marriage, they find out like that person sucks at sex, you know, and then they're unhappy. It's like not that complicated.
I mean,
but you
life
changes people. Sorry, go ahead.
Life changes people. So when you go through essentially a maturity arc and not only get to know your partner on other levels, but to get to know yourself, and then the conditions of your life do not stay stagnant. They ebb and they flow. So there's a lot of time that just based on the conditions that the relationship is subjected to, it just doesn't work out. I just think like, obviously that's inherently problematic, that if you just find out you're no longer incompatible, that you can't dissolve the relationship. And when you have no experience within relationships, I don't know how you can essentially assess that this person is compatible for you.
Well, I'm not saying like an arranged marriage, you meet someone and get married. You have to know these people. Like Catholics are not anti-dating or whatever. We're not like Muslims where we like have a arranged marriage and you meet this person for the first time or the second time when you get married. You have to know these people. And if you what?
I'm just saying you don't have to like slip in the Islamophobia. They don't completely believe in like arranged marriages. In fact, Catholics do a lot of arranged marriages with children. But anyways, I have to go to class. So I'll see you, Kenzie. Love you.
Okay. Well,
I really want to get on this topic of, I'm sorry, like I know I brought it up, but I don't like
point, and then we can get off of it. So the whole thing though, you're supposed to meet someone, you fall in love with them. This person is supposed to be, to death till we part. So to get married, you are, and especially in the Catholic Church, you are obligated, this is the person you will love. And it's not willy-nilly, like I'm just going to get married. Like I know some atheists get married and then they're like, oh, I don't like this person anymore. When you get married, you have to 100% know that through thick and thin, you should marry this person. And that's what marriage should be. Because if not, why are you getting married if you're just going to jump ship when things get rough? Anyways, we can get off.
I think again,
if you want.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to get off to a specific topic.
No, I just don't talk about religion anymore.
Okay. When men need to submit to women, what do you mean by that?
I think it's in men's nature to submit, and that they'll essentially be within their masculine energy, and it'll lead to the best outcomes within society, as well as for both men and women and children.
But okay, so if men's masculinity is then under women's femininity, how would that be to the full extent of his masculinity if he is not free to do as he needs to do? Like why? Like what makes women
central to masculinity? Like if we look at a lot of institutions that men have created, like religion, military,
like that, but yeah,
they did. Especially Abrahamic religions; those are all man-made, essentially to promote male supremacy. It's all centered around submission to authority.
Yeah.
So because men have essentially curated this type of system, it shows me that they have a desire to submit to an authority. So I would say that comes natural to their masculinity. If we look at women have been put in a submissive and subservient role. And ever since then, we have been fighting against that submission. And we've fought for our own rights, for essentially to be independent, to be autonomous, to make decisions over our own life. So I would argue that those traits are inherently feminine. And so therefore, like, we should obviously abide to these natural conditions in order to have harmony within society.
Okay, but you're talking about submission to, let's say, like if you were a knight in medieval, like you're talking about submission to a king or someone else, like of a higher authority?
Well, again, I think the monarch construction is obviously patriarchal because no one outranks a king. So I wouldn't obviously promote a patriarchal structure for a matriarchy. But yeah, I think women should be the leaders of in the economic sector, in the political sector, and in the social sector, which primarily is like within her community as well as within her home.
So you think women should be prime ministers and presidents?
Again, I think those are patriarchal titles, so I wouldn't give those titles to the matriarchy.
Okay, well, titles aside, but a leader.
Yeah. Women actually typically outperform men in leadership qualities.
Okay, well, I don't have a stat to confirm or deny, but okay. But, so you want men to submit to women, and because of religion and it's man-made, it's promoted a subservient role for women to men. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say that men's creation of the male god was essentially to, again, propagate male supremacy.
Okay. And then you said that religion holds back women, is what you said?
I would say, like, obviously Abrahamic religion. Yeah. Abrahamic religion is based on male supremacy and female inferiority.
Okay, so let's say Catholicism, that's what I know most about. That actually, it says women should submit to their husband, but their husband has to be the protector of the family, provide and all this other stuff. So it is and even, in the eyes of the family, they're both equal, but they just have different jobs. Like, so the whole umbrella of the family
I don't care. It's man-made for a specific reason, to establish a hierarchy of male supremacy. When I would actually argue that men are actually going against God, because if you and I can agree that, like, God made creatures within their own image, mm-hmm. that image would be of a woman. Because if we look at God as a creator, everything that has a form of creation in this physical world is represented by femininity, Mother Nature, childbirth. This is all representative of women's innate ability to create. Therefore, men should worship their creator.
Okay, but what about the strength, the destruction, all this other stuff and power? That would be masculine. So it's not only feminine. There's masculine and feminine. The creation of life is feminine, but the protection of life, you see it in nature, you see it in humans, not so much anymore because we've gone past, death and destruction to a certain point. You don't see it as much. but everything has a flip side. So I mean, like what I'm talking about is
men are going against their God. That's why we see so much death, destruction, and war, because they're trying to become superior to their God. Women wouldn't need protection if men would submit, because women need protection from men.
but women do need protection from men, even in a sense, like there will be bad men always, and a woman cannot fight off a man. There, like if she didn't have a weapon, like she didn't have a gun, she can't fight off a man.
Sure, she can. Women, and again, like, I don't know why men always need to put it in the context that we don't have tools available. And I think there's, like, obviously, again, this is like patriarchal washing of history, because if we look, like, women have always participated within battle, within quote unquote male roles. It's just now that we've become a more modern society and things have become more divided, that, and history has been written by men, of course it's going to uphold like men's contributions, which is why you came up here asking me, like, what have women done? Because you have a patriarchal conditioning of what history is to essentially establish men's importance and women's, and that women haven't been doing anything.
Okay, but that wasn't my point, though. What my point is, though, is that when you're talking about how men need to submit to women and that men wouldn't be in, like, you're talking like violent towards women or whatever if they just submit to women. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that will never happen. Men's, like, just biologically, that's not going to happen. And, you know.
Sure, it can. We've seen many periods within history that have been free from violence. Yeah, men just need to learn to
violence.
Yeah.
What? Yeah,
like the Iroquois. They were a society that lived free from violence for hundreds of years.
They skinned people. They skinned other tribes.
The Iroquois? No, they didn't.
Okay. Well, I don't even know. Okay. So you're telling me there has never been a point in or there has been points in human history that violence has not occurred?
Yes, within the conditions that you are just, yes, there has been periods where there has not been war. There has been periods of peace. Men just need to learn to control themselves. And I think they would actually do so if they would submit to women and recognize their position within society.
Okay. So, if we're submitting to women, why do, single mother households have a actual higher violence rate for their children, for their sons? Why is that
not a higher rate?
Actually, yeah, it's a way higher rate.
It's not. It's higher in volume, but it's not higher in rate. The reason that it's higher in volume is because women make up 80% of single parent households. So yeah, of course the volume is going to be higher because there's just more single parent households that are led by women.
But I'm talking...
We actually adjust based on rate to where we made it the same percentage. Men still commit violence against children at higher rates.
Okay, that's, again, not my point. My point was, compared to, or if we break it down, the murder average or like violence average, more of those perpetrators come from single mother households. So if we submit to women the way that, single mother households are, how, like, the data just does not show that we become less violent. It actually shows that we can become more violent because there's not a male figure in the household.
Well, number one, no, that's not true, because if we look at gay relationships, even lesbian relationships where there's two parents, they have equal or the same outcome as heterosexual parents. So it's not the sex of the parent that determines the outcome. It's essentially the material conditions, which we can see that single mothers are more subject to poverty. If we also take into effect like social aspects, single mothers are very much dehumanized and demoralized within society, where single fathers are revered. Therefore, they get more help. It's easier for men to have second marriages so that the child can have a better support system. These are all results of a patriarchal capitalist society. So I don't think you can say the cause is that it's because of women's behavior raising children. It is because of the society that men have built in order to subject these people to poor material conditions, which lead to outcomes of violence and crime.
But it's not the material conditions, though. It's without a male figure in the house, young boys don't have, they don't have the leader of the household. They don't have the the prominent figure. That's why you both need, like, you need in a household a man and a woman. That's what makes those relationships work.
You can have like a multi-generational household. We can see that when women have like a grandfather in the household, or even another, like a brother. It's not the sex, it is how many people are responsible in caring for the child. Because also dual income households have more money. They have more people to care for the child.
Yeah, okay.
They have more people for the child to positively.
Yeah, but
and again, I wouldn't say the lack. One second. I wouldn't say the lack of male role models is the single mother's fault. That is men's fault. And again, I don't care what patriarchal you bring up to me to show that women are like failing within the system. Which again, like I do not. You're just making, essentially saying that this correlation is causational, and I don't think there is one study that you can show me.
No, I'm not saying that single women or single mothers are solely the reason. I just think it is a big part. So, I agree with the less income and all this. But I also don't think men should leave either. So that's what I mean. Like, I'm not pinning the blame on solely women. It should be a joint effort. There should be the head of the family, which is the man, the masculine, coincided with the mother, the feminine, that takes care of the kids, instills the values, while the husband leads the family through, his job, labor, funding the household, while the kids are grown up in a very healthy environment with a mom and a dad. That's why in the lesbian relationships or gay relationships, it's hard for the kid because you're getting only one side. You don't have the masculine father figure or, on the flip side, the feminine nurturing mother side.
It's not. Like, I already addressed this. We can see that within two-parent households, the outcomes are equivalent regardless of the relationship of the two parents, whether that's multi-generational, whether that is gay and lesbian, whether that is heterosexual.
What are you're talking about how even if you just have a two-parent household that the results are the same?
Correct.
Okay, that's just not true though.
It is.
It's not. You can search up the statistics, but I mean, that's just not true.
It is. Gay and lesbian, multi-generational households. It's all about community. It doesn't need to be the structure of a nuclear family.
because she's the one who's responsible for all of the aspects that make a child a human being. And it's asinine and it's illogical to try to state that just because a man's in the household, he's helpful. That's stupid. And also his whole, just because you're unhappy doesn't mean you leave. That was just insane. So I was hoping to go up and talk to him, because that level of delusion is terrifying.
It's very normal. Men who think they are God is nothing new. But I'm sorry, doll. Your background noise is a lot, but I really appreciate your opinion. Thank you so much for coming up.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. So I'm seeing like some topics on the screen, like they look very interesting. And what are you guys like talking about at the moment?
Well, I just had a very Christian man come up and say a slur towards gay people. So he was kicked, and now we're waiting for my next snack.
What slur was that?
I'm obviously not going to repeat it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. And like, what's the topic at the moment?
So this is kind of like a menu. It says request if you disagree. So I assume that since you requested, there's a point of contention that you have with the menu. So you would just pick.
Okay, so what's the pro-abortion one about?
I think people who want abortion should have access to abortions.
Why?
Because abortion is healthcare.
How?
People who have abortions receive immediate health benefits.
Like what?
They're no longer pregnant.
How is that a health benefit?
Pregnancy is very taxing on the body and relates to a lot of negative health outcomes.
You could argue abortion is taxing as well. 'Cause abortion has risks.
No, you're more likely to have you're 14 times more likely to die in childbirth than you are from an abortion. And, abortion doesn't cause diabetes, hypertension. I mean, if you want me to go into all of the health effects, it might be quite the rant.
Yeah, so from what I'm gauging from those points, we can both agree that pregnancy and abortion both have risks to them, but I wouldn't see how these points mean that it's ethical to get an abortion.
Well, we weren't talking about necessarily the ethics. We were talking about why someone should have access to abortion. And I would say they should have access to abortion because it's healthcare, and having an abortion, you receive immediate health benefits.
In like the topic of abortion, it does go into a kind of ethical thing because we're justifying the taking of life. So that is quite an ethical question. So
you take life when cancer is removed from the body. Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't consider that to be an ethical dilemma.
Sorry? What did you say?
We take life when we remove cancer from the body or when we treat STIs.
Yeah, I think we're talking about human life. So the reality is that what would you say is a justification to take life?
If that life is violating your rights.
What do you mean?
If there is a rights violation in the process, and you can essentially stop that rights violation.
But what rights violation would this be?
They're accessing your body and resources without consent.
So if we're looking at people having sex and getting pregnant, you consent to the risk of pregnancy. So when you have sex, and also the term violating, it kind of implies that the fetus is doing something wrong when a fetus isn't actually doing something wrong because there's no intention there. Do you understand what I mean?
I think rights violations have to be intentional. They can be accidental. And I don't think consent to sex is consent to pregnancy. There's no obligation to sustain pregnancy because you engaged in sex.
Yeah, I didn't say consent to sex is consent to pregnancy. I said consent to sex is consent to the risk of pregnancy.
Can I ask you a question?
I don't think that creates an obligation for you to sustain pregnancy. Go ahead, Sean.
Of course it does.
If you get on a roller coaster, do you consent to that roller coaster falling off the track and you being unalived?
No, no. This is why.
So then, doing something. Hold on. So doing something does not consent to the risk of the thing. Thank you.
No, that didn't follow. So
He did.
not really, because I never said. As I said, right. I did admit just because you have sex, it doesn't mean you consent to being pregnant itself, but you are consenting to the risk of it.
You can't consent to risks, outcomes, or biological processes because they happen whether you want them to or not.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so if I consent, define consent for me.
Like to give permission, accept something, I'd say.
Right, so you don't give permission for your body to get pregnant.
But you accept the risk when you have sex.
You accept that there are risks, sure, but you essentially aren't consenting to that outcome.
Yeah,
And
of course. Yeah.
1 second. Just because
Sorry.
you acknowledge that there's a risk doesn't mean that if that outcome occurs that you have some obligation.
Of course you do, because it's like a human life, and we just need a valid reason why it's okay to take human life, and why some of these reasons can't apply to babies outside of the womb, etc.
No, you really haven't established where this obligation comes from, because your principle is that if essentially an outcome is foreseeable, that therefore you have an obligation to sustain that outcome. Is that correct?
What do you mean?
I'm asking if that's your principle.
I'm just saying, can you elaborate on the question a bit?
Yeah, so if you are going to do an action and you see that there is a foreseeable risk,
Yeah.
and is the outcome of the situation, do you have to sustain that outcome? Can you not remedy it?
Like in terms of pregnancy?
In any context. Why would this just apply to pregnancy? That's special pleading.
Not really. I'm just trying to see what you mean. Because are you talking about what I'm saying, or?
Like if I went on a hike, I can see there's a foreseeable risk that I could sprain my ankle. But then if I sprain my ankle, I have no obligation to where I can't receive healthcare to treat it.
I understand that point, but it wouldn't really apply to pregnancy and stuff like that, because pregnancy is not necessarily a bad thing. Spraining your ankle is a bad thing.
It can be, well, then you would essentially have to just essentially tell me what is considered bad and what is considered good, because I would argue that someone who does not want to be pregnant and does not want to go through the health complications or risk of pregnancy, that would be a bad outcome for them.
But it wouldn't be. Would that mean that it is bad? Just because it's bad, in your opinion, doesn't make something bad.
Then what makes something bad?
If it's true. If the proposition for something being bad is true, then that thing would be bad.
What qualifies something to be considered bad?
Sorry?
I would say that any type of premises you put on what is bad or what is good is going to be subjective. I don't think you can give me an objective standard.
Of course there's objective standard.
What would that be?
Well, so let's look at it like this. So whenever you make a proposition, the proposition's either true or false. And if we're looking at what truth is to be in accordance to reality, and reality is not mind dependent. So
That tells me nothing.
what didn't you understand? Would you say?
There's no qualification of what is considered bad. Having a sprained ankle is reality. being pregnant is reality. So since I can say that those two things are reality, therefore, how can we not say that both of those can be objectively bad?
What do you like? I mean, in terms of the proposition for something being bad.
Right. So walk me through the proposition now.
Sorry. So okay, yeah. So look, my point to you is that a proposition is either true or false, right? That's the law of excluded middle. So if you make a claim, sorry.
And I know what the law of excluded middle is. But again,
Okay.
you said getting pregnant is good, spraining ankle is
I never said that.
Wait, because yes, you did, because you said, well, spraining your ankle is bad, and obviously that doesn't apply to pregnancy. So if it's not good, right?
I said spraining your ankle is bad and pregnancy is not necessarily bad.
Wait, but you just cited the principle of excluded middle, so by that, it's either good or bad.
Sorry?
You just cited the principle of excluded middle. So by that principle, it is either good or bad.
Yeah, a proposition is either true or false. So I'd say that the proposition that pregnancy is not necessarily bad is a true proposition.
Based on what?
Sorry?
Based on what?
Based on the fact there's enough there, like I don't see any contradiction or any thing that you can say is wrong with it.
That's subjective.
Sorry?
That's subjective.
You just have to explain that.
No, you need to substantiate why the premise is valid. No.
What premise?
The proposition.
Of what? What specific one?
Oh my God. Jeff, go ahead.
If I sprain my ankle and I'm no longer eligible to go to a war that I was conscripted to go to, then spraining my ankle would be good, right?
Not necessarily.
No, in that instance, if I was conscripted to go to a war where I would unalive and I sprain my ankle and it exempts me from going to that war, then spraining my ankle would be good, right?
Not necessarily.
Yes, necessarily, because I don't want to presumably we don't want to unalive in my scenario. Yes?
Sorry?
Presumably we don't want to unalive in my scenario, right?
What does this have to do with abortion on the topic? I don't understand.
Okay, since you're not going to engage honestly, I'll just tell you. If pregnancy is not necessarily bad, neither is spraining your ankle.
Spraining your ankle is of course, it's unnecessary harm. It's and it's not contributing to a greater good. So of course, it's a bad thing. It's an injury. You're not meant to.
You don't know that.
I don't know what.
You don't know that it is not contributing to the greater good, because if me spraining my ankle leads to me avoiding harm, a greater harm than all things considered pro toto, then spraining my arm was a good thing. My leg was a good thing, right?
Not really.
No, I'm talking about pro toto. All things considered, spraining my ankle is a good thing if it avoids a bigger harm down the road, right?
No.
That's the same standard you're using for pregnancy. Meaning in every pregnancy, a woman faces injury. Even in the best of circumstances, there is some change that happens physiologically where it injures the woman.
Okay, what's your bigger point?
But you're saying it contributes to a greater good. So you're considering the result that happens with the birth. So I'm telling you, with a sprained ankle, a similar butterfly effect could happen where it avoids some harm or contributes to a greater good down the line. Just extending you the same logical courtesy you extended to pregnancy.
So what's your conclusion from that?
My conclusion is that your logic is flawed.
How?
Because you're saying that a sprained ankle is definitely a bad thing when it's not definitely a bad thing. When you consider the exact same logic you apply to pregnancy. Stop talking. When you consider the exact same logic you apply to pregnancy, which always is an injury, You're saying it's not necessarily bad because it could result in a good thing, but you couldn't possibly know what a sprained ankle could result in.
How is pregnancy an injury?
Do you know what happens to a woman's body during pregnancy?
What can happen to like?
No. What
you
actually does happen to a woman's body during pregnancy?
What happens?
You don't know?
I'm just asking what are you talking about specifically? Like there must be something specific that you're trying to highlight.
There are about 1 trillion specific things that happen physiologically to a woman's body.
So what's your point here?
So it's an injury.
How?
Because there's health risks and negative health outcomes. That's not hard.
So can you go through pregnancy and not go through the risks?
No, I essentially there's no such thing as a risk-free pregnancy.
How do you know that?
Because there is always some type of harm during pregnancy, even birth.
You're not answering the question.
Even how the baby comes out is disingenuous, or even how the baby comes out is harmful.
You said pregnancy is a health risk because it's harmful, but I'm asking you how.
You want me to list all of the health side effects?
This is wild.
I'm asking. I'm just saying to you, right?
Do you know
anxiety, depression, diabetes, heart conditions, high blood pressure, hypermesis, gervitum? I would assume that's hypertension. Infections, weight gain.
Yeah. So,
do you know why?
So the point that I'm trying to make to you is you've basically said now that pregnancy has risks. I understand that, but you've tried to say, can please,
oh my God, stop talking.
Can you stop? Like,
no. Do you know why we, as primates, you're going to keep talking? Do you not realize that I have the steering wheel? Do you know why it is? The steering wheel is still in my hands, buddy. Do you know why it is that we as primates nurse our young for so long?
Okay, so look, now all I'm trying to say is that
stop and listen to the question I asked you. Do you know why it is? I'm
trying to respond to the lady. I can respond to you after. I was in the middle of.
No, you're responding to me now. Do you know why we as primates nurse our young for so much longer than other primates?
Nothing to do with the point. Like we can talk about that in a second.
No, stop. We're not moving past you answering my question. That's not no other point.
You can answer it down the line, but the lady said something and I'd like to address the lady.
You are in fact answering it now. You're not doing anything else but answering my question. Do you know why we as primates, in all cases, nurse our young for much longer than other primates?
What does this have to do with the point?
It is because part of our being bipedal primates. Say it again?
Bipedal hominids.
Yeah, bipedal hominids makes it so that if we were to give birth to a fully developed brained human, the woman would unalive. This is like the point at which a woman gives birth is I wouldn't even say safest. It is almost physically counterintuitive to the amount of dilation that has to happen, to the things that have to happen to a cervix, even in a perfect pregnancy, quote unquote. So every single pregnancy, every single one results in an injury to the mother. Necessarily, yes.
How? Like the thing is that how are you defining injury?
I don't know that I can explain it much more succinctly than I just did.
Like, look, I like, even this is why I was trying to respond to the lady before he was interrupting, because look, we all agree there are risks to pregnancy, yes, but you say that there can't be a pregnancy where, or like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you disagree with the fact that there can be pregnancies where a woman doesn't go for a risk, because there's no contradiction in saying that, right? There are pregnancies where women don't experience the risks. This is why I'm saying, like, in contrast between the broken knee example, that's necessarily, in terms of a biological sense, a bad thing, and is an injury, I agree, but I wouldn't say pregnancy necessarily is.
What I'm telling you is that in every 100%, like 100 over 100, every single case that a woman gets pregnant and gives birth, there is an injury to that person's physiology.
I don't know. For one, I don't know where you're getting that from. And for two, also, this says nothing about the fact that it's possible for a woman to go through a pregnancy and not go through the risks, because that's the point I'm bringing up.
Talking about risk, I'm talking about actual, tangible injury.
Okay, so fair point. So I just want to ask you, get clarification from you. Is it possible for a woman to go through a pregnancy and not experience any risks?
You keep saying risk. I'm not talking about risk. I'm saying in every single pregnancy, every single one that ends with a birth, the woman is injured in some way.
How do you know, like, this is what I'm asking you, what do you define as injured? Like,
I'm
what
just
do you
using,
define?
look, if you sprain your ankle, right, all you're doing is moving a bone a little bit and straining a muscle. The amount of physiological change that happens in a woman or in a person with a uterus when they give birth is about 100 times that. I could sprain my ankle 10 times every day for a week and not experience the amount of pain and injury that a woman goes through, or that a person with a uterus goes through when they give birth.
So, cool. I'll read out a definition of injured to you. If you agree, you
I do
can
not
say.
care.
How can you not care what the words you're saying mean?
I don't care what your definition is. If you don't
I'm reading it to ask you if you agree, so we can just get on a common ground.
I immediately don't. I'm telling you that if somebody experiences a sharp increase in pain and a physiological change such that they need recovery time, that is an injury in my book.
So look, what do you define as injury? You've given examples.
I just gave it to you. If somebody experiences an increase in pain, right? So you know what pain is, right? I don't have to define pain for you.
Okay.
Much like this conversation. And then, in addition, has physiological change such that they need recovery time. That is an injury.
So anytime you need to recover from something, you're injured, or you feel pain, you're injured.
Those two things.
So that's what an injury is: physical pain and recovery.
Physical pain and needing to recover from that.
Okay. So now I'd ask you, is there any contradiction, or does it break any law of logic to say a woman was pregnant, gave birth, and was not injured?
I don't know why your standard is breaking a law of logic. That doesn't tell me anything.
That does, because if something breaks the law of logic, any law of logic, that's how you know something is impossible. Can I just finish, please? If something does break the laws of logic, right, then that thing is impossible to occur because it's illogical.
Okay.
So that's how I'm asking the question.
But that's irrelevant. We're not talking about things that are impossible. We're talking about specifically a thing that happens in all cases.
Well, this is.
Yeah, I'll answer it. Yeah, there's no that a person can go through where they're not. Birth in itself is an injury.
How do you know this?
Because based on Jeff's definition, there is recovery. There is injury to the uterus. There is injury to the birth canal. There is injury to the vaginal opening. There is injury to the cervix. That's with a vaginal birth. If we talk about cesarean, there is injury to the skin. There's injury to the muscle. There's injury to the uterus.
Now, where are you getting this from?
My basic knowledge of pregnancy and birth.
So, like in terms of the question, like this, I'm asking you, where is the contradiction? Because, like, when you say these, sorry,
is that the contradiction is that anyone can go through pregnancy and not experience injury.
Sorry.
The contradiction is that anyone can go through pregnancy and birth and not experience injury.
Like,
Everyone who goes through pregnancy and birth will experience injury.
so look, the reality is, yeah, there are people that have had pregnancies that are painless, that have recovered and not felt anything. So, like,
You just recovered, so you acknowledge that there's injury.
sorry?
You just said recovered, so you acknowledge.
I don't not really, because I don't really subscribe to the fact that because you have to recover from something that you're injured.
I actually don't care.
You like, if you don't care, that's fine. If you like, but at the end of the
No,
day,
you're not. You're actually coming up with a mythical pregnancy that you might pull from the ether, or somebody who has, like, I don't know, some sort of like enhanced, even in a case where drugs are involved, it is not painless.
yeah, you just have to.
Painless is wild.
So, for instance,
Thank you, man. I would like everyone in the chat to give this man 1 second. I would like everyone in the chat to give this man a round of applause for coming up and telling people with the capacity of pregnancy that there is pregnancy that is painless. Yay! Thank you.
That's the wild. I mean, that's the wildest thing I've heard all week, and I've heard some nonsense this week.
so like, this is what I'm saying. Like, what is exactly are we disagreeing here with? So, for instance, now, if we're going
If you
on,
couldn't tell, we're disagreeing with the word
one
painless.
second.
No. You asked the question. What are we disagreeing with? I'm telling you that what we're disagreeing with is the word painless.
So are you telling me that there's no person that has gone through childbirth and not felt anything?
I mean, I guess if they were unconscious, they didn't consciously feel it, but that doesn't, they'll feel it after when they wake up.
So look, this is why I'm saying there's no contradiction in a painless pregnancy. So this thing is possible. It can happen.
No.
Well, one sec, though. Please, just control.
And this is why
Please,
I hold to this
Jeff, just control yourself a bit.
Shut
just
up.
have a bit of, have a bit of self.
Now you definitely will shut up.
It's nonsense, so we can.
Now you definitely will shut up, because just because a thing is possible doesn't mean it can happen. That's a modal thing.
Yes,
Possibility has to be demonstrated. There is no logical contradiction with me changing my DNA and growing wings, but we don't know that it's possible simply because there's no contradiction in it, you potato. So demonstrate anything that you're saying, and don't rely on some a priori nonsense that you have pulled out of your backside to show that you read the first page of a logic book and now want to tell women and people with uteruses that giving birth, uteri? Is it uteri?
I just say AFAB persons.
Yeah, AFAB persons. You want to tell AFAB persons that giving birth is completely painless in some cases, and therefore their rights to reproductive health should be taken away because you have some, I don't know, P arrow Q nonsense logic in your head that tells you that there's no contradiction. Therefore, what? Doves land on your head whenever you sing a song?
Yeah.
There's no contradiction in that either.
All right, thank you for waffling and not having self-control. So look, back to the point now. Yeah.
If you say contradiction one more time,
can you stop? Can you close your mouth? You've said your point.
Goalposts.
Please, can you just like, come on? I've let you.
The stage right now that if you say the word contradiction one more time, you are getting yeeted through the goalposts in somewhere in New England, and I'm in Florida. So I'm just letting you know that. Go ahead.
Ask where you are. So like, ready to show control.
Northeast.
So something you've said is because something's possible doesn't mean it can happen. That's very silly, because that's literally what possible means. If something is possible, that means it can happen. It doesn't mean, of course, that it necessarily will happen, but it can happen. So this is why in this conversation, we've made the distinction between spraining your knee, which is characterized by being an injury, and we have shown the possibility, heavy on possibility, right, that you can go through a pregnancy and not be injured, and etc.
What happens to the uterus during pregnancy?
Like, if you want to say what happens, you can.
Well, I'm asking you.
Don't know.
Okay. So if you don't know what happens to the uterus, how can you say that you can go through pregnancy without injury?
I'm just asking you if you want to say why.
Okay. Okay,
If you want to say why you disagree.
I don't know how you
Hey.
can make that conclusion if you don't know what happens to the uterus.
Hey, Potato, do you know what SEPA is?
So what happens to the uterus?
Do you know what SEPA is?
Call me by my name, though.
Do you know what SEPA
I
is?
don't know why we're dogging on potatoes. Like, I'm a potato, and I want to be a french fry.
You're a cooler potato than he is. Do you know what congenital insensitivity to pain and I'm not even going to pronounce that, anhidrosis? Yeah. Do you know what SEPA is?
Just go and say what it is.
Okay, so there are people that do not feel pain. They have to walk on eggshells because they go through life not feeling the things that happen to them. So one of those people could have a painless sprained ankle. Now what? That's possible. Now, if it's possible, it can happen, right? So now that sprained ankle is not an injury.
Not really. Because
No.
Yes,
We're engaging. You tried to make a painless pregnancy not an injury. Now I've shown you a painless sprained ankle.
a painless, riskless pregnancy. You have to use your ears.
I told you
Start using your ears a bit more.
I told you get rid of the word risk.
ears
I'm
for
not
a
talking
reason.
about risk, and you're now getting
Well,
bored.
then you're off topic then.
No,
So
I'm talking about
you need
injury.
to use the 2 ears that are given to you. So the reality is, a sprain, if you concede that something is a sprained ankle, you are conceding that it is damaged.
Nope.
I just want everyone who had abortion sprained ankle on their bingo card, like, you win. You win. I have debated abortion for over 2 years on this app, and I have never been hung up on sprained ankle before.
Well, yeah, it's because the waffler kept bringing it up and stuff. And look,
Well, I
It's
mean,
because-
I brought it up. I brought up the sprained ankle just to show you that the principal deduction did not apply. Like, all you're doing is special pleading.
how?
Because essentially you're applying conditions to your premise that only is in relation to pregnancy and no other relation. Therefore, your premise falls.
I never. When did I say that out of my mouth?
When I asked, is this your principle?
Wait, what is my principle?
Principle that because you are aware of a risk and that risk comes to fruition, that therefore you have to sustain that outcome. And you said, does that only apply to pregnancy? So you want to apply that principle when it comes to pregnancy, which is special pleading.
I didn't say I only apply it to pregnancy, but look, this is.
That only apply to pregnancy because that's how you.
I said, are you talking about pregnancy?
You still haven't established your principle on why someone has an obligation to sustain pregnancy.
No, like, mate, look, let me word it for you like this. So,
give me your principle why someone has an obligation.
I was about to.
I'm talking about specific tenets of feminism. I'm not saying all forms of feminism is still needed.
Okay, so liberal feminism is not, but feminism in general is. Because that's where I'm confused. I'm not sure what you mean by liberal feminism.
Feminism in general is different than the goals of liberal feminism.
Okay, so maybe I just have to Google up liberal feminism then, I guess. The only other thing I was going to ask is, how do you mean men should submit to women?
That women should be the authority in political, economical, and social sectors, and men should submit to their authority.
Why? I'm more of a standpoint in life that equality for all, not one race over another, not one gender over another, not one specific cis or trans or whatever have you. I don't care. You know, equality is equality and everybody should be treated equal. So why should a man submit to a woman? Why should all men submit to women?
Because I think it's in their natural energy to submit. And I think society would have the best outcomes and men would be the happiest and fulfilled.
Do you have any sort of justification for that, or is that just a theory of yours?
Sure. So if we look at like institutions that men have built under the patriarchy, like the predominant ones I would say are religion, military, and the police, that these all center around submission to authority. So within men's own position of society, it shows that they desire to have a need or a desire to submit to authority. And if we look at women's positions within society, we have always rejected our submissive role, fighting for essentially independence, autonomy. And so I would say that women are natural leaders, and that naturally we want to be the authoritative figure.
So coming from a standpoint of being in the military and knowing how that world works, I've had both male and female leaders, and I use that word loosely at times, that have been good and bad. But I would dare say that there is no woman in the military or in a police force that should have that kind of domineering attitude, because it doesn't promote a quality and healthy environment. That's actually probably more toxic than toxic masculinity.
What? It's your institution.
Okay.
Bye.
I was okay.
JR. Thank you, JR, for the for the Venmo. You're amazing. WJR in the chat.
Yo, hello.
Yo, hello.
What's up? How's your day going?
It's wonderful. How is yours?
It's okay. So, is abortion murder in your perspective?
No.
And why is it not murder?
Because I find abortion to be justified.
Yeah, but in definition, is it murder?
I would define murder as unjustified killing. So since
But it's still the baby you're killing with abortion, right?
Definition of
Are you killing the baby with abortion?
Well, I don't think it's a baby, but define killing.
By definition, if the baby is in the egg, after, let's say, 1 day of the sperm going in the, the thing, by definition, scientists have said it's killing. It's a baby, a human, you understand?
No, they have not said that. Baby is a colloquial term for... 1 second. No, it's not.
Yes.
Baby is a colloquial term for child, and child is defined as essentially someone who is born.
Do you accept it's still a human though, so what are you saying? I don't understand. Can you explain better?
Right, but I'm saying it's not a baby. People who are pro-life say babies...
Is it human? Does it have DNA?
1 second. Okay.
People
say baby to essentially anthropomorphize it so that they can make an emotional appeal. So that's what I was arguing against. I don't care if you call it baby. If you want to do that, fine. But
is it human?
1 second. You have not defined killing for me.
Killing, literally, the unaliving somebody.
Does it have to be somebody? What is somebody? Somebody!
What do you mean? Unaliving. Like if I kill you, if I stab you and you die, I unalived you.
Wait.
You are no longer alive because of me.
Can you kill a dog?
A personal being, yes.
Can you kill your skin cells?
We mean it morally, we mean it more of a like
Can you kill your
dog,
skin
cat, human.
Skin cells?
Yes, you can, I guess.
So when I wash my face, am I killing?
Yes.
Okay. Then sure.
But you understand how we mean it?
Then sure, abortion is killing.
Okay, and what is your definition of feminism?
Wait, are we done with abortion? Wait, do you need a dictionary?
Why are you so prideful with your words? Humble yourself.
Because I'm a Leo.
Yeah, star signs have not been proven 100%, right? So
neither has God.
I mean, does something have to be okay, that's okay. Yeah, I understood. Okay. So, what's your definition of feminism? Just tell me.
Wait, I'm only going to move on to feminism if you concede on abortion.
Concede? What does that mean? I'm Greek, sorry.
You essentially say I won the argument.
You haven't won your argument because you don't accept my truth claim.
Then why are you moving to feminism if we haven't finished abortion?
Because you will not accept my argument as a truth claim. And you will just keep on going. So there's no point.
Right. That's what the debate. You don't accept my argument. Right. So it's whoever makes the best argument.
Listen, how is abortion not murder if it's still a living organism and it would orgasm, and it would... I don't know English good, you understand?
Okay.
Bro,
sorry.
okay.
I will be charitable. How old are you?
19.
Okay.
2005.
So my definition of murder is unjustified killing. So
Okay.
it's the justification of the killing that meets the criteria, the burden, if it's murder or not. And I would say abortion is justified. Therefore, it does not meet the criteria of murder.
But the human being has a DNA, right?
Right. Is self-defense murder?
Yes, obviously. By definition.
So what's the delineation between murder and killing?
It's the same thing. What do you mean? Isn't the same thing? What is it then? You tell me.
I told you the justification.
Murdering and killing. What's...
Right. If someone is trying to harm me, do you think that it is justified for me to try and stop that attempt?
In the law? Or morally? Can you tell me?
I really want to, but I can't. I really want to, but I can't. I really should make this 21 and up.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Well, can you hear me? Well, I wanted to talk about abortion. Well, you said that you consider murder unjustified killing, right?
Yeah.
So abortion is not murder because it's justified.
Correct.
So is it homicide?
I would just say homicide would be the legal term of murder. I don't know why that would make a difference.
But it's still killing a human being.
Someone with human DNA, sure.
Exactly. So after all, it's still killing somebody. So do you support that? Do you think that women should have a right to kill somebody?
I think they should have the right not to sustain pregnancy. So women hold no obligation to give the fetus life support, even if that results in the fetus's death.
Yeah, so you think that somebody's life is less valuable than a woman's free will, I guess.
No, it's not in terms of like the value of the life. Like, do you think that if I need a kidney in order to continue living, that you have the right to deny giving me one of your kidneys?
Yeah, I do.
Even if denying me that kidney will kill me?
Yeah.
Why? Do you think my life is less valuable than yours?
No, I believe we have the same value, but after all, it's still my body.
Great.
Yeah.
So that would be the same principle I would hold towards pregnancy and abortion.
Yeah, but you're harming somebody else's body, not yours.
No, you're essentially terminating pregnancy, and pregnancy is the form of life support.
Yeah, but after all, you're killing somebody else.
And you just said you were fine with killing me by denying the kidney.
Yeah, but that's way different because I'm not attacking you, I'm just denying you support.
So you're saying there's a moral difference between letting die and active killing?
I guess, yeah.
Are you familiar with the trolley problem?
No.
So if I were on a trolley and the track split in two different directions,
Yeah.
in one direction, 3 people were tied to the tracks, and on the other direction, 1 person was tied to the tracks. Would you say that it would be more moral to go down the side with 1 person tied to the tracks because I only kill 1 person, or would it be moral to go to the other side where I kill 3 people?
Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me personally, it will be to let the trolley continue, because by switching it to the other lane, I will be the one causing the death
Right,
of
so
that
it's
person.
going to cause death either way, whether you go down the left or the right. Just going down the left, you're going to kill 3 people. Going down the right, you're going to kill 1 person.
Yeah, but if I go to the left, then it's my fault. If I let it continue, it's not my fault.
Well, you have to choose a side. Like, essentially, it's split. So you have to choose, do you want to go down the left side or the right side?
Well,
Both require
if-
choice.
Okay, then if both ways are my fault, then I will go with the left one, with the 1 person, because it's 1 life over 3.
So now let's change the analogy to where there's 3 people tied to the track and there's 1 person tied to the other side of the track. And you going down that track, you actually are able to stop the trolley and save these people. Which side would you go down?
You mean like save the people instead of killing them?
Yeah.
The 3 persons, I guess. Yeah.
Right, so you would go down the side to save the 3 people.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just stop the trolley? Would that be immoral, right? And just let everyone die?
Well, do I have the option?
Yeah. You have the option of stopping the trolley and just
Yeah,
letting
then
everyone.
I will stop it, yeah.
You have the option. Well, you're going to let everyone die. So essentially, rather than saving 1 person or saving 3 people, you're just going to let 4 people die.
If I stop it?
Uh-huh.
No, I will not stop it.
Wait, would you say it would be a moral wrong for you to stop the train?
If it kills all of them, yeah.
Great, so then you don't care if you're actively killing or just letting people die.
What do you mean I don't care?
If you stop the train, you're not actively killing them. You're just letting them die. And
Yeah.
you would say that would be a moral wrong.
Yeah.
So you really don't care if someone is actively killing someone or letting someone die. To you, those are both morally reprehensible. So I don't know why you would make the delineation then of denying me a kidney versus actively seeking an abortion.
Because denying you a kidney is not like 100% going to kill you. You can find somebody else.
I gave it in the context that it would.
Okay, then I guess it's still different because I have a right to my own body, but a fetus is distinct from your own body.
Right, so would you say it would just be morally permissible for the person to remove the fetus from their body?
At this moment, no.
Why?
Because you're killing it.
Wait, but I'm not, like, harming its body. I'm just removing it from the uterus.
Yeah, and the consequence of that is killing it.
Just like you not giving me your kidney, the consequence is I die.
So you think that these two are the same analogy?
Yeah, the comparison is essentially someone's obligation to someone else's life. I would say that we both agree that it stops with the use of your own body, that you have no moral obligation to sustain someone else's existence using your organs or your body without your consent.
Yeah, but I think there's quite a difference because pregnancy comes from your own consequences, but I have no fault for your kidney failing or stuff like that.
I would say that pregnancy comes from men's consequences, not women's.
Why?
Because men cause pregnancy.
I mean, you mean that we are the ones that you understand in the woman?
are we doing the because I'm kind of lost here at where we're going here, like the moral arguments, right? Are we appealing to emotion, or are we going back into like the appeal to law? What's appeal to law called? I forgot.
Legality. But no, you're right, Sean, because he did change his argumentation. The argumentation was that the child is a human being and therefore has the right to life. And now you're changing it to where she consented to sex, therefore she has an obligation.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to prove that pregnancy is... What?
Go ahead.
I wanted to prove or to say that pregnancy is not the same as me donating you or denying to donate to you.
That's not what I'm comparing. I'm comparing someone's obligation to sustain someone's life. And I would say that obligation essentially does not include the use of your body without your consent. So just like you have no obligation to give me your kidney, a pregnant person has no obligation to give a fetus their uterus.
So that's...
Why is there an obligation to carry out a pregnancy? Like, what's the reason for that obligation?
Because I will say that you are killing somebody and that I won't consider it a right to kill somebody.
Okay, so it's just like your own personal thought process, and we should all just be subjected to that is the reason why.
Well,
Then
I
you would
wanted
have
to get...
an obligation to give me your kidney, because if you don't, I will die.
But that's different.
It's not.
No, it's not different. But let's do this. Reason is not a personal thing, right? Reason follows a line of logic in which provable facts are a.
Well, I wanted to get in a more theological thought.
You want to get into what?
A more theological...
So if you want to get into a more logical talk, then give us the... Okay, you can be philosophical all you want, but give us a reason as to why the obligation exists and not simply because I like the thing.
Because I believe in a theological objective truth that says it's wrong. Did I continue?
Didn't I just say stop giving a personal... You know what? Never mind.
I say theological.
No, we have been having a philosophical argument this entire time.
Theological. Theology.
Wait. So not philosophical.
Theological, like religion.
Oh, theological.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care what your religion says.
Yeah, but we can debate about it.
Annie, thank you, Annie, for the Venmo. W Annie in the chat. Also, White Rabbit. Thank you, White Rabbit, for the Cash App. W White Rabbit. And then finally, thank you, Charmaine. Wow. What a generous Cash App. Thank you, Charmaine. W Charmaine. So W Charmaine, W White Rabbit, and W Annie. Wow. You guys are so generous. I'm so touched. Thank you so much. I cannot express gratitude enough.
Okay, well, I guess you're atheist, right?
Yep.
So, you have no objective morality.
Sure.
No one has objective morality.
I mean, religious people do.
No, you have subjective morality because it's
God.
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't have objective morality. What the fuck are you talking about?
In theology, we have objective morality because we believe... Well, this is more about a Christian theology, I guess.
What's the objective morality for unaliving someone? Let's just end this real fast. What's the objective morality? Is it good or is it bad?
Well, from what standpoint do you want me to tell you?
So it's subjective. Excellent. Awesome. That was super fucking clear.
Yeah, but I'm trying... Okay, anyways. So you believe that being Hitler or anybody else is not bad.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Do you think that whatever your God commands is moral?
Yeah,
Right. So if God commanded you to kill a child, would you do so?
that is impossible.
I mean, I don't know what God you worship. I honestly don't care, but like this is a hypothetical. So if hypothetically your God asked you to kill a child, would you do so? Because you would say that would be a moral good, right?
Yeah, but if I go down that hypothetical path, then I'm denying a lot of things about my own God, that he's perfect. That will mean he's not perfect if he wants me to do
Wait,
that.
now you're judging your God because you're saying that you gave me a commandment that I think is wrong. So you actually don't believe.
No, that will be, I'm
Your
saying that
God.
because that will be contradicting himself with, do you
No,
understand?
God says God sets rules for you, but God is outside of those rules, right?
Yeah,
Right. So it doesn't matter what if God tells you like, hey, you shouldn't kill, but if I tell you to kill, then it's okay.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He never said, if I tell you to
I guess
kill,
I
it's
need to ask
okay.
you now, like
Wait,
which God?
so
The Christian God.
Oh yeah. God commanded Moses to kill the Midianites.
Yeah, he also commanded to unalive the Amalek. He also told Abraham to unalive his son. What are you talking about?
Yeah, God asks people to kill for him all the time.
Yeah, okay, let's say, yeah, okay. I'm not really in the Old Testament, that's why.
You're not into the Old Testament? Why? Because God changed his mind?
No, because it's more of a historical book, not,
Wait, it's more of a historical book and not a moral compass?
yeah.
That's a wild take.
Book or moral compass?
Because we have a new covenant with God, the New Testament.
No, it's the same God. It's the same God.
Yeah, but we have new rules.
And what constituted the rule change?
Jesus Christ.
Right, so subjective opinion. Excellent. Awesome. We can get off this subject.
Okay.
Like things that are objective don't change. You realize that, right? Like they're always the thing.
Yeah.
Right. So if something changes, then it's subjective. So you saying that like the morality of your God is not subjective is just fundamentally false as per your own God. So
Well,
let's pick.
yeah. Okay. Well, his morality did not change, just his rule for us. The old rules were just to prepare Israel for the coming of the Messiah.
So God said you should have slaves to prepare for Jesus?
Well, I don't think God ever said to have slaves.
Yeah, he gave you instructions on how to have slaves.
Yeah, how to treat a slave well, but not, he didn't promote it directly. Go get slaves and treat them like this.
Well, it's not just about treatment. It's also like he condoned it. Like Leviticus 25:44 says you may buy slaves from the nations around you. You may buy slaves. That is
Okay, then yeah, I guess, yeah.
Great. So how do you know God wouldn't be preparing you for the Messiah to be coming by asking you to kill a child?
Because the Messiah already came. You mean hypothetical?
Isn't he supposed to come back?
Yeah, but not ordinary.
Huh?
Yeah, but not ordinary, not like the first coming, physical.
What are you talking about? Christians are always yelling about the second coming of Christ.
Yeah, it's gonna come, but he will not, how do I say, it's not like the first coming where he will come and be among us. He will come and, yeah, he will be among us, but he will come and reign. You'll see that he is God, not like the first coming.
Well, then, just because he's coming differently doesn't mean that God wouldn't prepare you for him to come.
Well, I don't understand why would I need to be prepared.
You want to actually test to make sure that you're a true Christian before the second coming of Jesus and ask you to kill children so that he would know that you're a true Christian, and when Jesus comes, you'll be saved.
So, if he asked me to show that I'm a Christian by killing somebody, is this a question?
How would you do?
Well, yeah, I will probably do it. But
So then I guess you can't say that having abortions is wrong objectively, because it would just what if God told me to have an abortion? You don't know. And that is why Christian morality is trash. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I really wanted to talk more about Jesus coming, because that was kind of fun. But I have to go, y'all. You really showed me the support today to get me out of capitalism, but I still must succumb to her oppressive ways. Actually, his suppressive ways. Capitalism, of course, is
Can we get an L capitalism in the chat?
yeah. TikTok saying that I should change my account to a business account. You want me to be a capitalist?
I don't think that's what that means.
They heard me. Ooh, 666. What a wonderful number to end our theological discussion on. So first I thought he was saying philosophical, and I'm like, I've said this word 9 times. I don't know why you're still misrepeating it. And then I thought he was going to talk about physiological, and I'm like, so you want to talk about the physiological aspects of pregnancy? That's a little weird.
Logical, but theological debates, philosophical debates. The entire point of
I'm so fucking